my great-grandparents left England in 1892 as pioneers going to Canada. Canada was the place to go because it's like Australia had been over the past sort of few years. It's the place for younger people. But as I say, it is quite a complicated story of the whole family, really. Now, my paternal parents, they didn't go until 1927 because my maternal grandmother was a religious medium, and the Lord had told her that she should up sticks and go to Canada because that's where they were going to be best off. Life in Canada, out in the prairies, was always very hard, because when they first went as pioneers, they had to build their houses. They didn't have houses. So the early people that went out in 1892, 93, whatever it was, had to get together as a community, cut the logs down, cut the trees down to actually build themselves houses. We lived on a large farm, but we lived in, I can only call it as a shed. It was a one-room wooden building. Life was very poor, very, very poor, and you had to really cater for yourself. In 1937, we left Canada from Winnipeg on a beautiful ship, a sort of place that I had never ever seen. It was absolutely wonderful to think of a 5-year-old child having the run of a ship with ice cream for every meal and an absolutely wonderful time. There she is there.
Yeah.
Great. That's who I came back to see.
Right,
really wanted to see me, Grandma Townley. So we arrived in England. We lived in a flat in Guildford, which was only just a part of a house, which was 2 rooms, no kitchen or anything like that. So life really was an extension of what I had in Canada. We're in the crypt. I went to Sunday school in the little wooden building which was on the outskirts of the cathedral opposite. And I went to Sunday school there from 1944 until the crypt itself opened in 1946. I was the very first candidate to be confirmed here in this cathedral, really only because, of course, my name began with B. That was the only real reason. But at least I was still the very first one to be confirmed. It was in the crypt, of course, and I was confirmed by the then Bishop of Dorking. That one. John Victor Macmillan, 1934 to 1949. I continued to go to church, and because, of course, it was the era when every time you came into church, it cost you 2 6 for a brick. I must have dozens of bricks around this building somewhere, but I've never ever found one with my name on it, never. Our first child, Martin, the first child, was christened there. We were married there, and we have been to the cathedral almost every year since then, on our wedding anniversary. We've still come every year until this year, which is our 68th year. So that's not bad, is it? 68 years.
Not bad at all.
Not bad. And so if we walk along the side of the aisles, we can go towards the crypt itself and into the Lady Chapel, which is at the other end of the building. It's an awful long walk, isn't it, to the other end of the cathedral? This is the entrance to the crypt. We were actually married in the crypt down the stairs, and obviously the chapel itself was way underneath this part of the building. It's where they store the rubbish.
Are you very religious then, Grandma?
I wouldn't say I was very religious. I have a great faith. And this to me, of course, is my mother church.
Don't really know what we're doing, do we? You're watching the Prime Minister every day and see what news he's coming out with. I've not brushed it through, Olive. I've just combed it so it'll last you alright. I won't brush it through too much.
But you see, they're lucky really, because I find it really very relaxing to cook. Very relaxing. Just sit here and roll them out and think of everything. Yeah. That if you learn to sew and you learn to cook, you'll never ever have to be destitute. You're not going to make a lot of money, but you will, because I've always found throughout my life that there are people who cannot sew, will not sew, and they always want things altered. So therefore you've got a little job that you can do, and it's a money earner. I can get lost in sewing. I knit occasionally. I don't like knitting. I've actually knitted a jumper for Martin, for our son, when he was 8, and he took it to uni when he was 18, and he used it as a blanket almost. That's my knitting. I have improved since then with practice, but sewing, I wouldn't say I can make anything. I have made suits, wedding dresses, absolutely anything and everything, as the girls will say. And if I can just pass on the experience that I've had in making things like that, I will be very pleased with my life. everything. What I do for Grandad. I'm a carer. I'm a registered carer, which means I'm an unpaid carer, and I have a reputation from him that I never do as I'm told. But I do. Obviously, I look after him. I wash for him. I have to put up with his moods, because dementia is not a nice thing at all. But he says I'm his brain, and that's obviously what I am. My life has just been an ordinary life, and we've lived life to the full. We've travelled. We've had many holidays. We're lucky to have so many sort of grandchildren, and I live my life through my grandchildren.